I'm Paul Pearson, host of Star Time, and when I'm not rehearsing my annual address to shareholders, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio World. I'm Paul Pearson, host of Star Time, and when I'm not deep frying a turducken in a closed garage, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio World.
Rainier Avenue Radio.
Here at Rainier Avenue Radio, we're all about people and community. If you listen to the wide variety of shows we have, you'll hear we try to have a little something for everyone. Much like PBS, we need the help of our people and our community to keep this pirate ship afloat. We've begun our summer campaign. From now to August 1st, we are asking for your support. Please visit RainierAvenueRadio.world and gift us your support. Look, I agree, we are living in weird times and it's getting rough out there. Maybe you're planning a summer trip with the family and you need your cash for you stuff. I get that. But if you dig in the couch or clean out under the driver's seat of your car, you'll find some coins. Even if you can donate $1 or $5, cool. Every dollar adds up and can help us at Rainier Avenue Radio keep doing what we're doing, bringing people, community, and art together. By helping us, even with as little as you can, you're helping us keep this party going. And who doesn't like a party? So let's get after it and let's get some shekels donated. On behalf of all the show hosts and everyone behind the scenes here at Rainier Avenue Radio, we thank you for your support.
Rainier Avenue Radio.
Generational wealth. Generational wealth. Generational wealth. What is generational wealth? We asked our communities, and this is what they had to say.
Generational wealth is having financial security and not having to worry about it for yourself, your immediate family, and future generations. It's a very elusive idea to me personally, because it's not something in my immediate experience, and it's only something that I'm learning about a little bit more in theory and knowing or trying to know if that's like a real possibility for someone like me.
This campaign to create awareness to generational wealth is brought to you by the Department of Neighborhood's Generational Wealth Initiative, the Washington Housing Finance Commission, and Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Create your generational wealth for you and the future of your families. Generational wealth. Generational wealth. Generational wealth. What is generational wealth? We asked our communities, and this is what they had to say.
For me, generational wealth is passed down knowledge from relatives or any family members, or even like any ancestral people that have come before you, that is, used to help you progress in the times that you're living in. So I think it is very updated. It's very current. It is existing in real time. So any type of knowledge or resources from people who are here living now, being able to provide that information and pass it down from generation to generation, how you maintain the wealth. That's what it means to me. This campaign to create awareness to generational wealth is brought to you by the Department of Neighborhood's Generational Wealth Initiative, the Washington Housing Finance Commission, and Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Create your generational wealth for you and the future of your families.
Atlantic Street Center has been serving the children, youth, and families of the Seattle King County area since 1910. We partner with families and communities to raise healthy, successful children and youth through services including counseling, early learning, youth development, domestic violence, and education support for school-aged children. Committed to serving the African American community, Atlantic Street Center provides services and support for all marginalized people. Learn more at AtlanticStreetCenter.org.
Well, welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio. We are live at Shoreline Stadium. This is Rick DuPree, and we're at the Darrell Taylor, the Seahawks Darrell Taylor football camp, I should say, for grades 3 through 8. And a lot of kids out here on the field. They've been out here since this morning. And we're going to be broadcasting live here for the next hour, the last hour. And, try to have a little bit of fun, talk with some folks out here. And maybe get Darrell over here, Eddie McMillan, former Seahawk. We got some other former Seahawks and former NFL players we're going to talk to and what have you. And so, again, Rick DuPree, we are live at Shoreline Stadium. This is Rainier Avenue Radio. And my man here to the right, we get him on camera. Introduce yourself, and let's talk a little bit about what you're doing out here and kind of what's been going on, because it's great to see you out here with the kids.
former running back here with the Seattle Seahawks. Just out here supporting Darrell Taylor. Got the NFL alumni here, Rainier Avenue Radio, get a chance to come out here and, support and give knowledge, give the recipe will help me. And also as a camaraderie with the team along our journey back to the youth and with development, and giving back. So just being a service to the community too. So I think that's what's truly important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Thomas, I love the fact that you said, you got Darrell, who is a current player, you're a former player, but out here supporting him. Can you share with our listeners a little bit about what that camaraderie is like? I mean, because it's a special thing, and you guys are at an elite level that a lot of people don't reach.
It's definitely important, and because that elite level, you need different forms of the game. Yeah. That's how much important the game is and giving back is, because the game keeps growing. And Darrell Taylor, he's a younger guy, right? But it doesn't matter, because when you see what's out here, we got the youth, we got our peers, we got our elders out here, guys who played the game, who played it and respected this game. And with that, man, you get the chance to help your vision, provision as great young men and great women, out here working hard and competing. And that's what it's about, competing in competition.
Yeah. And there's so many lessons to be learned on the field that can be translated in life. Maybe talk a little bit about that. And before you do that, I'm just again, for our listeners, we are live. This is Rick DuPree. We are live at Shoreline Stadium, and Seahawks Darrell Taylor holding a youth football camp. And we say football, but football is right around the corner. Camps will be less than 30 days. It's right? Football season is here.
It's here. Look, football season is here, man. It's right around the corner. It's always all year round. These guys at the professional levels, they're preparing, but these young kids out here, they're next up. Next up, and that's what's important. It's nothing that they can't do. I think it's important also that they get a chance to be out here to recognize and understand what the game truly brings. And that's every emotion, and it teach a lot about things about in life. And that's what we try to program the kids to do. And it's not just teaching great technique with running the football and scoring touchdowns, but conducting themselves as great young leaders, giving them something to look forward to, helping them to think forward, move forward, about forward progress. And as you can see out here, man, we having a great time doing it, and that's where you can get the most out of them. Yeah.
Thomas Ross, our guest right now here on Rainier Avenue Radio. And for you, can you talk about, because we talk about these life lessons that you through athletics, through sports, and things that then translate. Because again, what people don't understand, I try to tell young kids, they want, I want to be a pro player, what have you. Okay, that's great. Okay, or even a guy at an elite level. Okay, but hey, if you have a career, especially in football, if you have a career that is 5, 6, 10 years, that's a long career. But guess what? When you retire, you're still only 30 years old. Right. You got a lot of life left. You got
a ton of life left. And I think the most fair but kind of / unfortunate thing is that everybody won't make it. Right. But the skills that you learn, the tools you learn how to manage resources. You learn how to work hard. You learn how to earn the things that you want to that you see and move forward. With following whatever your heart desires, and that looks different for everyone. And I still think everybody can still get what their heart desires. But I think it's important that to know that when you sign up for something, you must know the truth in it. And I think a lot of these younger players, they get a chance to experience that by asking the question, seeing, being able to feel and be approachable. And to the youth, and that's why I'm out here. Darrell Taylor, all of us, the guys, Eddie Mack, all these guys, we just want to keep giving back because it's so important. They're only a split second away from, being successful or making a wrong, decision. So we want to let them know that it's important to make important choices and decisions, because in the end, when those 5 or 6 years are done, with the game, that's all that you truly left with is the choices and the decisions you've made, and hopefully it's rewarded on the back end.
And there's consequences to every choice, but you're right. I mean, and for these young kids to understand, and you talk about these life lessons, leadership, life skills. One of the things that's interesting, I used to work for the Sonics when there was a pro basketball team here.
Before my time. Hey, I think Mateen Cleaves, man. Shout out to Mateen Cleaves.
That was my boy.
Flint Town, man. Flint.
Mateen, we had some good time. Mateen, actually, funny story, man. My brother and his wife had a house here that they were renting out in the Shoreline area.
Okay.
And Mateen rented from them, so he was staying there when he was here. That was my guy. But one of the things you talk about, life lesson. When I was with the Sonics, one of the things that was really important is looking at how these guys. I mean, you come in, you have this. If you're fortunate, a career that could be 10 years or whatever the case may be. But then as you look at life after, how are you? What is the foundation you're laying down? What is the type of life that you want? And can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you pulled from the experience and how that is impacting your life now?
Yeah, I think it's important. It's just like camp, enduring that pain, making it through the tough days, getting it, making it, to that fourth quarter, pushing it out, grinding out in that 4 minute. It's the same thing in life. You just can't give up. So the transition stage, it was definitely there for me. It's going to be there for many people, not even just athletes, but people in life in general. But it's going to be there. It's about keeping your mind through the fire.
Yeah.
Accepting the the ebbs and flow of life. Embracing it. I don't think people embrace it enough.
That's a good point, because I mean there are going to be the ups and downs, but and this is the thing I learned, especially being Black in America, is that there are experiences that you have that's going to build that perseverance. That's going to help you make it through more difficult times. I mean, that's what shapes who we are.
And you want to know what's crazy, Rick? We don't see that in hindsight, because it's kind of hard to be present and experience our now and control it. So it's out of your control. But I think if you have a foundational piece of something that you stand on, some type of principle, everything else will work out itself. Some core values. I was just talking to the kids about accountability. Being accountable not to yourself, but more so each other. About committing. Committing meaning staying true, actually not giving up, finishing it out, because you never know what you're creating. And about respect, always being respectful and building that trust, and also about trust, but not necessarily trust, because sometimes when we talk about trust, we go out looking for it, so we want to be trustworthy. So we want to talk to these kids about that and keep implanting it in their minds, because sometimes when they're outside the game or outside the house with the parents, they still need a foundation to stand on to navigate life courses. So with that in the game, they have something that they can take initiative, have something to be a part of, have something to say, hey, this is my last name, this is who I am, having a way to express themselves. Because a lot of kids, when there's a lot of energy like that, right, everybody want to express themselves, right? So we just don't want them to lose that, because that's who they are. That's who their creative spirit relies in.
Right. So. Words of wisdom from Thomas Ross, and maybe a young man, and had a good career. I'm saying young man because I'm much older. But
I'm trying to get there.
It's. I mean, that's great, being able to take those lessons and giving back to the youth. And you made a good point earlier. And again, if you just joined us, you're listening to our live broadcast at Shoreline Stadium. Seahawks Darrell Taylor holding a football camp here for 3rd through 8th grade youth, and they're learning some of the skills in football. But as Thomas has been talking about, skills that they can take off of the field and into life. But one of the things for kids, understanding that, like you said, these skills are transferable, and really learning, from older guys, athletes. And I was going to say earlier, when I was working for the Sonics, a really interesting story. I'll never forget this. The last year, the Sonics were here, Kevin Durant and Jeff Green were the top picks that the Sonics had traded Ray Allen. And fast forward, they being Kevin Durant and Jeff Green, part of Jerry Colangelo's program, where they were really starting to build the Olympic team up, because they had lost and what have you. So anyway, long story short, they were down there in Vegas and had a day off, and they went into the gym, and there was one person in the gym working out, Kobe Bryant. And so again, the elite, but day off, he didn't take a day off, and the work that you put in, and for kids to understand, whether it's on the football field, the basketball court, in the classroom, whatever it is, the commitment that you talked about.
That commitment is, I think it relies in the focus. I think the focus is important, because when you're trying to achieve something, you're going to have a lot of distractions and a lot of chaos around you.
That's the truth.
Right? Like even the people who love you. and you was taught to respect authority, but what happened when when you want to achieve something for yourself or whatever, when you feel or see something, so it's still something where you want to stand that bandwidth. I think it's important also the kids when they're out here to embrace the elders coaching, listening, getting the information, applying it, getting back down to zero, because they're going to naturally do what they're gifted. Look at these kids, man. They're gifted already, right? They're going to naturally do these things. It's in their minds. It's if they can, stay disciplined.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can they go on red and not blue?
Yeah.
Right. So, we gotta, so
right. Yeah.
Teaching them. We start from the ground up. So.
Yeah, that's so important. Again, we are live at Shoreline Stadium. Rick DuPree along with Thomas Ross, and we'll have some other players joining us as well. Darrell Taylor, Seahawks Darrell Taylor, having his youth football camp out here. I saw you may remember a lot of you from this area know Ron Howard, and Coach Howard is out here. Has coached so many youth. I see Greg Lewis. I
met a lot of great people today. I met a lot of great people today. I just want to say this, Rick, that Washington truly produced here.
Oh yeah,
y'all truly produce here. So I just want to
people don't realize, and I mean, and you look at now. I know we're out here to football camp, but you look at it on the basketball side in the NBA. A lot of guys. So it is. Yeah, there are a lot of people coming out of this area. Interesting thing, my son and I are working on a documentary film about the Seattle Black Panthers. A lot of people don't realize there was a Black Panther chapter here in Seattle. It was the first chapter established outside of California. The free medical clinic that they started is still in operation today, the only one. So there's things here in Seattle that we're proud of, and certainly proud today. And Eddie McMillan, former Seahawks player, Eddie McMillan. Well, Eddie, well, come on over here, Eddie.
Over here, man. Hey, look, I just had fun on the field. We having fun. I forgot I was on the radio. I'm just kicking it, man. Look, because I'm in the backyard. This home.
That's right.
Man, look,
we are having a good time here on Radio.
Shout out to Darrell Taylor. Man, shout out to the NFL alumni, man. We out here with it, man. They put on a great camp, man. Yeah. I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, well, appreciate you. Now, Eddie McMillan is kind of running the show and getting a few guys out here. So, we're going to bring Greg Lewis over here. Now, Greg Lewis, for those of you Husky fans, know Greg had a great career at University of Washington. And I got a bone to pick with him because any and every record I set at Ingram High School, Greg just broke all those records.
All right.
So, man. Thomas, thank you very much, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. All right. So, again, Darrell Taylor doing his football camp here. We have NFL alumni. Thomas being one of them, and sitting down now at the table here, Greg Lewis, and for you Husky fans, know the name well, and I have been friends and known Greg for years, and good to see you, man. Good to have you here on the air. I've listened to you on the air, watched you on the football field, and man, what's it feel like to be back out here with these kids at this camp?
Well, it kind of reminds me of when I was young and wanting to play football and get involved in this beautiful game, and having a chance to be down at Rainier Playfield, which serves the community that we're all from, and having a chance to learn the game of football around some great people, mentors, father figures, and folks who really wanted to have the kids' best interests at heart, to make sure that we had a great experience and opportunity. So just having a chance to give back and be out here and push past that legacy on. It's just fun for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know you with your girls that were play basketball, and you've been involved in girls basketball. But talk about your career after playing, and the fact that how much you have given back, and how important that is to you to be able to be an example and to give back for the youth.
Well, for me, it wasn't something that I said, okay, let me go back and intentionally think about how I give back. It's just, I guess, part of how I was raised and who I am, from the standpoint that I know the success that I had. You talk about my career and, having the chance to go to Ingram and following your footsteps, then go to University of Washington, following the footsteps of somebody like Jock Robinson, and then play in the NFL. I only had those opportunities because there were folks who were involved and engaged in my life that gave me a chance and kept me on the right path and right direction. So just because that happened in my life, it was natural for me to get engaged in any way I can. And, initially I went to work at the University of Washington and worked in the athletic department there. But there was, always a desire to go and work with younger kids, because the one thing I noticed at the University of Washington, outside of the athletic department, there weren't thousands and thousands of African Americans going to school there. So how can we work together as a community to get our kids into higher education? And that's part of what this is all about to me. Some of them may never step on the football field and play college football, but they can all go to college.
Say that. Yeah. That is the voice of Greg Lewis joining us here on Rainier Avenue Radio. And again, we are live at Shoreline Stadium, and words of wisdom there, Greg, talking about. And Greg, yeah, that is so important, because Thomas and I were talking about the life lessons from playing a game, whether it's football, basketball, whatever the case may be. But the fact that you can take these lessons, whether it's perseverance, whether it's, really learning to work hard, teamwork, all of those things, and how important those are. Can you talk a little bit about kind of your career, kind of the skills that you developed that have been transferable? Because now you're at a point where you're in leadership, you're making decisions, you're having to assess things and what have you. And so talk a little bit about how that has influenced your life and how it plays a role today.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, the things I learned from football, I've used in the rest of my life a lot longer than I did while I was playing football. Football is a young man's sport, and by the time I was 25, I was finished playing football professionally. And so you mentioned some of them: perseverance, dedication, but preparation and studying and being prepared and ready. Those are things. Teamwork. I think for me, I'm always, when I'm talking to people about different sports, football, basketball, baseball, football challenges you in ways that other sports don't necessarily do. So when you think about football, it begins at the hottest part of the year in August.
Yeah.
And back in my day, we did double days, practicing twice a day in the heat and the sun. And every day you had to make a decision. I'm going to go out here. I'm going to work as hard as I can. And even when I get tired, I'm hot, I'm thirsty, I'm not going to quit. And that's one thing in life, that if you don't learn anything else, to never quit. I don't care if it's quitting school, if it's quitting on your family, if it's quitting your job, if it's quitting on your goals and your dreams. You just got to get up and go another day. And when you keep persevering and you keep trying, you keep working, ultimately you will either reach your goal or you'll get somewhere along that route, which could be just, how they say, shoot for the stars, but you'll at least hit the moon. So perseverance, and then football ends at the coldest part of the year when it's freezing outside and raining and muddy out here in Washington. And even before you walk out, you got to go, man, I got to get my mind right. So it really, I think, challenges you to, no matter what the circumstances are, what the environment is, what you're going through, if people are hating on you, people are challenging you, your boss don't like you, it's that I'm going to go and do the work regardless. And doing the work is what makes you successful. And so I think those are two of the biggest things that I've learned from people that I use every day. I've had an opportunity to work in organizations like the University of Washington Athletic Department, the Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA, and be in leadership roles. And I didn't necessarily come to those places with all the necessarily experience or background, but I kept working, I kept persevering, I kept, learning, I kept doing the work, and ultimately it's given me a lot of opportunities in life to be in leadership and to then turn around and help the next generation.
Yeah, no doubt. That is Greg Lewis. We are live at Shoreline Stadium, Darrell Taylor's youth football camp. And Greg, you hit on so many important things, but from those life lessons. And again, the game teaches you, and these kids here, taking pictures with some of the alumni, taking photos with Darrell and what have you, and enjoying themselves, but not really at this point, maybe not understanding all of the things that they're actually getting out of this. But as you were talking about that, and what I heard you talk about perseverance and the fact that you learn how to, number one, do things when you're not sure. And you have to continue to push. You also learn how to deal with, and I'll say failure. And when you don't meet that goal, you keep striving to get there. And that's so important. And in this day and age, everyone wants to be successful without putting the work in. Yeah. And realizing that, what, that failure, that loss, whatever the case may be, builds that resilience. It builds that perseverance and those things that you need. And so it's really good. And right in front of us, I don't know if we can get the camera on, but nope, we can't. But they just say, nope.
I'll tell you another thing, too, that I think football really prepares you for, and I kind of alluded to it, too, is to do things even when you don't feel like it. Yeah. I think we're so,
Yeah, that's good.
We're always ready to do work when we feel good and everything's going well and we're having fun. But what about those days when you wake up and you're tired? those days when you're not feeling well or your attitude's not quite right, how do you still get up and do the work anyway, because you know it's important and you know it's what's necessary in order to keep you moving towards your goal. So I think, those are things that every day I utilize, that I learned on the football field, because there were times when, maybe it's third and 6, and I got hit real hard on second down, and I might be a little tired because it's the fourth quarter, and I got to get those 6 yards to get that first down.
Right.
And you got to come out, break the huddle, and you got to run the ball, break a tackle, do whatever you got to do, even when you're not feeling like you're at your best. So, those are just things that you can utilize in life, lifelong.
Well, and you made a good point earlier talking about there's some things in football, because again, your body's tired, you're hurting, and I mean, I think about those October and sometimes November days at Husky Stadium, and what I used to always hate. Okay, they would usually it was raining, so it was wet out there, but if not, they would water the turf down, which rightfully so, because you get the turf out. I still got marks on my elbows and knees for that, but man, the first thing we'd have to do. Get down on the ground, do stretching, what have you. So now the wind's coming in, you're cold, and what have you. But you're right. You learn. It's like, oh God, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. But you push through it. And on the other side of it, you're so proud of yourself. And one of the things that I love, from what the takeaway from athletics for me was just learning how to work with people from all different backgrounds, and the teamwork and the camaraderie. And interesting thing, Greg, because one of my mentors, Casey Jones, former Boston Celtic coach and Sonic coach, I got to meet him when he was here for the Sonics. We developed a relationship, and 4 years we did basketball camps with him. But Casey told me a story one time, and long story short, just said, Rick, he said, when I was in Boston, those years, I mean, Boston, has a reputation of not being kind to black folks and a lot of racism, what have you. And he said, there were players on there that didn't like black guys. He said, however, when we walked through that door into that locker room, we became family.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it taught them, it got past some of these things, because at the end of the day, regardless of what the color of our skin is, there's so much more about us that's alike. And as they came together, in KC, 8 of his 9 years, they won the NBA championship.
Absolutely.
so yes, I mean, just that's something I'll never forget. He shared that with me. I think I was 27, 28 years old, something like that at the time.
Well, if you think about it, we had an opportunity going all the way back to Ingram High School when we got bussed out of our neighborhood to a community that was far away from where we lived, and some of those same elements were present during that time. And so we got to figure out how, even though we're from different neighborhoods, different communities, maybe this guy don't like me, that guy don't like me. I played with another famous Husky alum named James Clifford. I don't know that Jay. I don't think James really liked me. I didn't really like him either. But you know what? We were good together on the football field, not only at Ingram High School, but at the University. We eventually became friends. Right. But my point is that we got an opportunity to see that in action, even as young people, where we left our neighborhood, we came out to Ingram. Maybe everybody wasn't a fan, but we had certainly had some success playing football. So.
Yeah, no doubt. But life lessons, you're absolutely right. I remember my first year there for Halloween. Some of the students dressed up like the KKK. And I mean, it was on the news, and Lacey Steele, who was the president of the Urban League, I believe, and came out, big meeting or what have you. And it was an opportunity for learning. But, I mean, that's stuff that's in our lifetime, and people don't realize, I mean, it ain't that far back. Maybe some of it's still going on.
So well, they don't believe you're that old. They can look at me and tell. When you keep telling those stories about how I came to Ingram after you, people are like, wait a minute, who was there first?
Well, see, I shaved off the gray off. I shaved off the gray off. You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio. We are live at Shoreline Stadium, and we're broadcasting live here at Darrell Taylor's football camp. And Greg Lewis, among the NFL alumni that are here working with the young people, grades third grade through 8th grade, mainly young men, but I think I've seen a couple girls out here, a couple young ladies out here as well. It's great to see they're out here and competing. And again, just the lessons they're learning, not only football skills, but how do you transfer those skills into every aspect of your life? And, it's interesting. My grandson, my oldest grandson will be 14, and he played, you have the flag football. And this year he had a great team. They lost one game and then ended up winning the championship and played in the tournament. but going out, and Greg, you talk about feeling old. I mean, I was looking at him and looking at these kids. Dude, now he's as tall as I am. His foot might be bigger than mine now. But when I went and saw him this year, and it's like, man, in the span of a year, the kid grew.
And that's your grandson.
Yeah. But it's so fun to see kids out here, and it's funny because you talk about the game and what the game has given, and I loved football, and I played, started, as an 8-year-old on the 89ers down at Rainier, like you.
I've been following you around. You didn't know it.
I know that's something. And I love the game, but I always tell people it's not a matter of if you're going to get injured, it's when, because it is such a difficult. And I love a lot of the change. I'm curious how you feel about it. I love a lot of the changes that they have made to try to make the game more safe. Now, but at the end of the day, football is a contact sport. Okay. And I mean, you can't take away too much. And that, I struggle with that, because it's like, you can't take away. I mean, a guy's going to come up and, when we played, I remember Freddie Woods and me. Freddie was, I was a linebacker, and Freddie was a safety. And man, our goal was, okay, we're going to put a guy out today. I mean, but that's part of that head game, the intimidation. You're going to, a guy come across the middle. Oh no, you're going to remember me. And next time you're going to be looking for me, And so the mental aspect of it as well is so important. And it's a lot of fun as I think back to those days. But also it's funny because I told my son, I said, man, don't let your boys play football. Don't let it. I don't want them to be. I've had like 5 or 6 major surgeries.
I feel that sentiment every day. At the end of the day, though, football, like boxing, is a gladiator sport. Yeah, it's
really good
like
point.
Modern day gladiators, and people love the game. And they love going and watch the gladiators because of the physicality and the violence and the potential, that someone might get knocked out. And I do appreciate that they're trying to take some of the, overt, violence and injury type causing hits and plays out of football, because long term it's going to help the players. But I think, even that has some selfish motive to it, because you think about it, if you're an NFL exec and coach and you're paying these guys millions and millions of dollars, and contracts have some guarantees in them now, and like in our era, you're on the hook for paying those salaries. So you want to keep guys as healthy and as safe as you can.
No doubt.
But ultimately, you can't take punching out of boxing, and you can't take hitting out of football.
Exactly.
They got to exist to be the sport that they are. And so I think, again, I gravitated more towards football. I played basketball. I ran track. I played baseball. But when it came to decide what sport I really wanted to invest in and grow in, it was football, because of that physicality, and because that's just my nature. The contact and all of that. So I think football still is going to attract those folks that, like contact.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And see, I was a little guy, so when I played arena football, it's funny because went to UW, and the fact, and I was a walk-on and didn't play a lot, but the fact that I came from the University of Washington program under Don James gave me credibility, and people knew, okay, he's coming from a good program. So and I'll never forget when the Arena Football League started, and I don't know if you remember the name Mouse Davis. And Mouse Davis, started the run and shoot, and he was at Portland State, and then I believe was in Detroit with the Lions, but he was the director of player personnel. And long story short, I had written letters to all the NFL teams, and they got in a tryout with the Giants, and it was an open tryout. I had to get myself there, and did really well, but wasn't signed. And then this opportunity came up with the Arena Football League. And it was funny because they took all the small guys and they said, okay, because again, you're talking about, I think it was 8 men on each side of the ball. So one running back, and it was a big guy, big fullback, big guy like you, and so little guys, they put us out at receiver. And I'll never forget, Greg, I love this. Bob Harrison was my coach, and Bob Harrison had coached Anthony Allen, I think in Atlanta. He was a receivers coach with the Falcons and what have you. Anyway, man, at practice and running the play, man, I'm blocking my guy, what have you. And I come back here, what are you doing? I said, I'm blocking my guy. He said, man, you're a receiver, just run him off. Greg, I said, oh, I'm gonna like this. And so I mean, certain things I was like, I should have played receiver and in college or what have you.
You'd probably be feeling a little better today.
Yeah.
Shoulders and knees and all that stuff.
Yeah, but no, it's like you said. I mean, the game, I think for anybody that has played it, it's given back so much. And even though you've walked away with some injuries or whatever the case may be, It is such a fun game. I look back at the days back at Rainier, and I remember, Eric Metcalf, for example.
I played with Eric.
Yeah,
Rainier.
man. And so you guys, your '89
we were
games.
Cheat code. We were cheat code. We never lost ever.
And you guys had the biggest fans.
Yeah.
Man, we were all, all of us, the big kids. We were coming there smart to see you guys play.
Exactly.
So it's a lot of fun. It just brings back a lot of memories. If you just tuned in, you're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio. I'm Rick DuPree. This is Greg Lewis, and we are live at the Darrell Taylor football camp, and has this camp going on. Started this morning, and we're here live for the last hour. Got about another 30 minutes. We're going to also grab a few other plays. I think we're going to have a chance, to get Darrell over here as well, and kind of just talk to him about his motivation. And great to have him out here using the name recognition, what have you. And well, Greg, man, I appreciate you taking some time to talk with us, and man, all the best, and go out and continue to have some fun out here with the kids.
Always good to talk to you,
yes,
my man.
Yes, my brother.
All right.
Appreciate it. Once again, that is Greg Lewis, Rick DuPree here, and if you just tuned in, we are always happy to bring you live, broadcast when we can. And this came about pretty quickly, but Darrell, we kind of found out about Darrell's camp and wanted to just not only be able to highlight what is happening in the community. And it's just, it's a wonderful thing, because a lot of times professional athletes get a bad rap. And there are so many athletes, men and women, that are doing so many incredible things in the community. And Darrell is one of them. And so it's really, really fun when we're able to highlight that. And so he is here doing this camp. I'm looking at him. He's over to my right here, and kind of conducting some drills and what have you. But what a treat for these young people to be able to be out here with professional athletes, to get this experience and what have you. And that's just a wonderful thing. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we've got a couple of the OGs, the alumni, Ron Howard, Eddie McMillan. They are in the house. I'm Rick DuPree. We are live at Shoreline Stadium. This is Rainier Avenue Radio. We'll be back in just a moment. What's that?
Your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Rainier Avenue Radio.world is your 24/7 digital media hub. Tune in at Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and TuneIn apps.
Rainier Avenue Radio. Your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio. Your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
How would COVID vaccines work in your body? Here are 3 things to know. Number 1, a vaccine is basically a training session for the immune system. Vaccines teach the immune system to look for the key features of a virus. So when a virus does show up, it's ready to fight it off. Number 2, a vaccine gives your body a plan to recognize the virus. Then your immune system starts preparing by making antibodies, or fighter cells, that stay in your blood as protection in case the virus tries to invade. What this means is you get immunity against the disease without having to get sick first. Number 3, when enough people's bodies know how to fight off a virus, it has nowhere to go. That slows the spread. When people get a vaccine, we're able to stop the spread quicker and get closer to ending the pandemic. To learn more, go to covidvaccinewa.org. A message from the state of Washington.
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio,
your community radio station.
This is Big Poppy, host of Jazz from the Cabinets. Join me each week for a listening tour of the first century of jazz, an eclectic mix of Dixieland, big band, cool jazz, bebop, contemporary jazz, world jazz, all jazz in all forms. That's Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy on Rainier Avenue Radio, streaming worldwide on rainieravenueradio.world.
I'm Paul Pearson, host of Star Time, and this is my real voice. Honest,
You're hearing it on Rainier Avenue Radio .world.
Should have told her you were sorry.
Yeah, right. His real voice. Welcome back to Shoreline Stadium. Rick DuPree. We are live at Darrell Taylor's football camp. And a couple of quick things before we go back to our guests here. I want you to know Rainier Avenue Radio is a people-oriented media outlet dedicated to amplifying the diverse voices of our community. And we're asking you to make a difference and invest in our independent organization so that we can contribute to enrich our community through the programs that you love. Yeah, right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. We need your help, and we're kicking off our summer campaign to support Rainier Avenue Radio. From now until August 1st, we're asking you to make a gift in support of the work to bring you live events like this, as well as all of the programming that we have. Go to RainierAvenueRadio.world and click on donate to make a gift. Every gift matters, and we're working to raise the resources needed to fund the programs we need. So 6 gifts of $2,500 or 12 gifts of $1,000, 25 gifts of $500, 25 gifts of $250, 50 gifts at $100, 120 gifts at $50. It doesn't matter. Whatever you can give will help your collective contributions support our programs like this live event, and also like our Call to Conscious Museum. If you weren't there last year during Black History Month, just an incredible display. Certainly look forward to it coming back. Make Music Day, summer youth classes, generational wealth campaign, and much, much more. All of that right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Your donations support producing community-created programming and live broadcasts from community events like this today here at Shoreline Stadium. Also delivering our digital media and our broadcasting training programs, cultivating a community platform for local information and news. All of that right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. So we thank you for partnering with us to amplify diverse voices in our community. We also have a lot of things coming up this summer. And so I think we're going to put something on the screen there, and you can kind of see what we have going on. The summer of community events and all of that going on through the month of August. And you can kind of read it. You've got we got a Moja Fest. Oh, yeah, the Youth Football Jamboree, Moja Fest. That's on August 5th. On the 12th, we have a Doug Baldwin's United Way King County Community Barbecue. We broadcast live from there last year. We'll do that once again. The Othello International Festival, big day of play. So that and much more, you can see it on the screen. So that is just a little bit of what we'll be doing live in the community here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Well, I'm gonna turn my attention to the man to my right. Ask him to go ahead and put the headphones on here. And if you are from Seattle, if you're a football fan, you know the name Ron Howard. I know him as coach, and that's I've always known him as that. And you're out coaching again today, huh?
Well, it's kind of interesting. Eddie McMillan actually brought me out of retirement, and it's something I couldn't pass up. It's actually like working at my school, teaching young men and young ladies the importance of teamwork and responsibility, and learn a little bit about football.
Yeah, a little bit about football. But we were talking. I was talking to Tom. I was talking to Greg, and we're talking about the life skills and the things that you can take away from any sport, but in this case, obviously football, and apply those things. And you have done that. I mean, a great career, but then you have been in education and a teacher for so many years. Can you talk about what it's like and the transferable skills and for these kids and how to help them understand the importance of what they're learning and how that can enhance them in anything that they do?
Well, it's interesting. We all have something in common, be it a kid or an adult. And I was very fortunate to start off with the Dallas Cowboys and understand what work ethic was about and what it was about being a professional on and off the field and how you carried yourself as an individual, and also remaining humble. And I've been fortunate and blessed to have played for the Cowboys and, of course, Seahawks. I finished my career with Buffalo, and all the life skills that I learned starting from ground zero, because I played basketball at Seattle U. I didn't play college football.
That's right. I forgot about yes.
So
that's right.
I was doing a Tony Gonzalez and all them other guys a little bit before, but that's what the Cowboys was all about.
Yeah.
And so having to learn from some exceptional coaches, Mike Dicker was my tight end coach, Dan Reeves was my special teams coach, and of course Coach Landry. He's a head coach. But learning the discipline and understanding how to work as a team.
Yeah.
And there's not a day that doesn't go by I don't share a life experience with any of my kids at Aki. I came from a single parent background, so I can relate to that and understand, especially being a black male, having to grow up before your time. You know, we as black males, sometimes we have to be a grown up because we're taking care of siblings and, you know, and doing other things around the house and stuff to help out your mother and stuff. And so I'm always able to relate that to my kids.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't just say I know, I do know.
Right. Yeah.
And so
you've experienced it. Yeah.
I've been blessed and fortunate to have some exceptional young ladies and young men come through my school that have done some amazing things. And I used to always tell them when they're an 8th grader, when you guys get older, you'll understand. And there hasn't been a moment that I haven't had one person come back and tell me, I understand, Mr. Howard.
Yeah, isn't that something, you know, and that just, I mean, makes you proud as you look at these young individuals. And sometimes it's just like with your kids. Right. In the moment, you're like, oh, good Lord, they're not getting it, you know?
Right.
But you know, and then you see it, you know, my youngest is 34 now, but I remember she went to Howard University. Great experience for her. Yeah. And she was probably 2 or 3 years after graduating, and she was still living in D.C. and sends my wife and I a text and just says, just want you to know I appreciate you both. I know how hard you work, you know, and just something that, I mean, it brought tears to us,
right.
You know, but it's so, and whether it's your own child or any of the kids that you work with, you know, and I have been, you know, in education and coach and what have you, so have those same experiences, Ron, and it's a wonderful thing, and the fact that, and tell me, I mean, for you being out here, as when I said, oh, geez, you know, but for us that are older, but to see some of these young guys out here, I mean, for me, you know, and I see, you know, what Darrell's doing in a few weeks, we'll be, you know, broadcasting from Doug Baldwin's, you know, what Doug is doing with the Family First Center. I mean, just incredible things that these young men and women are doing these days.
Well, they're giving back.
Yeah.
And never forgot where they came from.
That's it, yeah.
And once you do that, lose sight, you need to get out. And for me to see them do this, it just kind of puts a smile on my face like, okay, I've thrown the rope over the fence. Now they grabbing it. Now it's their turn to throw the rope over the fence and pull someone else over. And to see them doing all these great things, what Doug's doing and Darrell's doing, and all those guys that are stepping up and doing charitable work, voluntary work. Because you know what? It ain't always about the pay. Because at the end of the day, these kids going to remember something you taught them.
Man,
at the end of the day, they're going to hang on to it.
Yeah. That's where I know. I think all of us, I mean, you talked about some of the influences in your life, and I certainly know, you know, people like Charlie Walker III, who influenced me, you know, at Asa Mercer and what have you. And, you know, all of us have that. And that is, you're right, Ron, that is so important. You said something earlier that I think I want to highlight, because I'm not sure a lot of today's professional athletes, and especially kids in the era of, you know, everything's on you know, social media, the me environment. You talked about being humble, you know, and you talked about kind of appreciation, what have you. That's so important. I think things that a lot of times the kids, the younger, I can say I'm in my 60s now, so I can say the younger, they don't get it. They don't understand.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting because I always go back and remind them, even though I mentioned it many times before. And I explained to them why I'm repeating it. When you get older, you understand. Because for the moment, you hear me, but once you walk out, you got to adjust to life. You got to do this or that, and you won't remember.
Yeah.
And I constantly have reminded both males and female, all the kids I come in contact with, when you get older, you'll understand. Because here's the thing. You never know who's watching. See, and people watching to see how you handle things when things don't go well, because everybody likes to see when everything's going well. How are you going to handle it when it's not going well?
Yeah.
And when they see you handle that and step up to the plate, you can do whatever you want.
Hey, that's some wisdom from Coach Ron Howard. Let me tell you, you know, a young man who I have in the Seattle area, I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and I think has always carried himself in that manner. And has been at the pinnacle is Jamal Crawford.
Oh,
you know, and Jamal just I mean, and you know, Jamal, every time I see him, I mean, he's respectful. He's how you do it, you know, and it's just and he doesn't have to be, you know. And I'm gonna tell you a story, real quick story. So you know my brother David. Right. So David, you know, was working for USA Today, was an NBA editor, and he was in town. And at the time I was working at KJR Radio. and Sonics were going to play the San Antonio Spurs. And so we'd set up to have David Robinson on the show, and David was going to be on the show with me. And you know, as it is on the road, you just never know. So we talked to the PR guy, and he said, "Well, yeah, David has the information and what have you." You know, okay. So my brother David and I went out and worked out and came back to my mom's house, and Mom said, "Yeah, you know, you got to call a guy. David Robinson called," and we were like, "What?" You know, and then we had to catch ourselves. Said, you know, that's the way it should be.
Exactly.
You know, and again, that's an example of an athlete who was responsible, accountable, and I think, you know, again, in this day and age, we coddle, we you know, idolize, you know, and lift up so much, which I mean, you know, again, we want to, you know, celebrate, you know, our kids and build that self-confidence, but there's that fine line as far as, you know, arrogance, you know, and accountability, responsibility. So I'm rambling a little bit, but I mean, I just think as I look back, I mean, a guy who epitomizes that for me and has done so much in the Seattle community is Jamal Crawford.
That's my guy.
Yeah,
I had him. I coached him when I was at the beach.
Yeah.
And a player like him comes around every 10 or 15 years. And I'm going to tell you about the player who's next in line in a minute. But Jamal, and I used to always tell him, you never know who's watching. It's okay to be humble, because when you're humble, people want to come and help you out. They want to listen to you. They want to help you to make things better. And he's still doing it to this day. Now, I'll tell you another young man, because I've been blessed to have coached some outstanding athletes. And I got to be honest, all of them have been humble, for whatever reason. Phenomenal track star, Jenny Powell. Hey, I had the pleasure of coaching her in track at Rainier Beach, and I'm going to tell you something. Pound for pound, and academic, I'll take her over any male at Rainier Beach, and that includes Nate Robinson, because of her mental toughness. And she was humble, and she was hungry. But there's a young man I had, and at my middle school, I've been very fortunate. We had Kevin Porter Jr., who's at Houston Rockets. DeMonte Murray, he's the next mall. Because his whole demeanor, and he truly appreciates the hard work and the people who have helped him on his way. That's why he'll never lose sight of turning it and then giving back.
Ron, if you weren't going to mention him, I was. And I don't know DeJounte, but I saw recently an interview he did. And he was talking, he signed, you know, the big deal with the Hawks. And he talked about, he said, you know, guys ask, well, how come I don't go out and do this? And he said, I've been there, I've done that stuff. But he talked about this commitment. He said, man, I get pleasure out of being with my family and watching the movie, what have you. He said, but I'm gonna stay focused. And man, I appreciate that. I'm like, man, I want to meet that young brother. I was so impressed with that. He
was blessed with it when he was at Aki.
Yeah.
And then I had the pleasure towards the end of my career coaching at Rainier Beach. I just basically kind of mentored him and stayed with him. And I remember, and I got to share this story with you, because he understood what I was saying. You never know who's watching.
Yeah.
And when Beach made that great run, went undefeated, we got invited back to New York. And one of my boys, a good friend of mine, Stu Jackson. Stu was still with the NBA at the time. So I invited him to come watch us practice. And I guess Carmelo Anthony has this unbelievable practice facility in upstate, somewhere in New York City anyway. So anyway, we go there, and Stu's there. We sit next to each other. I said, Stu, this was, baby boy was a sophomore. I said, I want you to remember this name, DeMonte Murray. Stu wrote it down. When that draft came out and San Antonio selected him, Stu texted me right away and said, out of all the players got drafted, he went to the best place. And to this day, I've been fortunate to be around some good people, man.
Yeah, no doubt. That is Ron Howard. We're live at Shoreline Stadium, and I'll say this before you leave, is that you mentioned Jenny Powell, now Jenny Crawford. So that is my cousin.
Wow.
Her grandfather and my mother are brother and sister. And so it's funny because Jenny. So I remember now. Here's the crazy thing. So Jenny's married to Sean Crawford.
Okay.
You know who won the I can't remember, was it the 200 meter gold medal?
Right.
But in high school, Jenny and Jamal Crawford dated.
Already know. I just wondered. I had to coach him. We can't. Hey, man. I remember telling her, I got to share this with you. And it's not anything. I remember we were practicing down at UW. I'll never forget it. And I was coaching her. She was running 300 intermediate hurdles. She already had the state record. And Robert Gary and I honestly believe if she had ran him in college, she'd have easy went to the Olympics. But anyway, but she was a sprinter. But I remember she was kind of going through some stuff, and I told her, I said, you know what, Jenny, you hearing it from me first. By the time you get done, you're going to be world renowned. You're going to be known. And sure as I'm sitting there, it definitely happened when she went to SC and did her thing.
Oh,
so, anyway, I appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you. That is Ron Howard. Appreciate you. And, man, appreciate what you do with all the youth.
All right. You be safe. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So we are about ready to wrap up here. We got a few more minutes here. We're going to try to see if we can grab Darrell real quickly just to say hello, but he's also wrapping up the camp and talking with the kids. So we will see. But we are live at Shoreline Stadium. And again, one of many of the things that shows, I should say, or events, I should say, that Rainier Avenue Radio that we bring to you right here on the air, just going live in the community. And you saw the list a little bit earlier of some of the things, our summer in the community, those things going on. Also want to highlight, and this, we're not there, but I think this weekend started yesterday and going through tomorrow, Festival Sanjata, that is out at the Seattle Center on the campus there. But again, you see some of the events coming up, and on thank you. Yeah, make it a little bit bigger so I can see it. Thank you, Daniel. See, Daniel knows. I didn't even have to ask. We got coming up on, I'm looking through that list, August 12th. So in just a little less than a month, Doug Baldwin's United Way King County Community Barbecue. And we were live there last year. I believe it's going to be out at Renton Stadium once again. But that is the list of events that we have that will be here, kind of our summer of community events. And one of the things I also want to, highlight, we talked about the summer drive. And this is a community radio station. And what I love about this, and I appreciate Tony B., appreciate Daniel, all the things that they are doing behind the scenes. But this is an opportunity, Rainier Avenue Radio. It's the community voice. And if you listen to radio, I mean, most radio stations, they have a specific focus and what have you. Rainier Avenue Radio gives you, for lack of a better word, a potpourri, a variety of different types of programming, whether it's live in the community, whether it's foreign language programs, whether it's a community affairs, sports, whatever it is. And it gives the community an opportunity, a community voice to be heard. And so I really appreciate that, about what Rainier Avenue Radio does. You can see us at the Columbia City Theater. And again, coming up next year during Black History Month, the Call to Consciousness Museum was just an incredible display this past February, and we'll return again in February. So just so much happening here. But again, just want to remind you, if you want to support Rainier Avenue Radio, if you like what you're hearing on the air, go to RainierAvenueRadio.world and make a contribution, and any amount helps. If you feel so inclined, make it a reoccurring support is helpful, because again, this is community radio. And we want to be the voice of the community. That is so important. I'm Rick DuPree, and again, live here. We're just here for maybe another minute or two, live at Shoreline Stadium. And we just appreciate the fact that Darrell Taylor has invited us out, and Eddie McMillan kind of coordinating things behind the scenes, a former Seahawks player, if you remember Eddie, and just a great career, and doing a lot with the NFL Alumni Association, and just in the community with NFL players, also Major League Baseball players, just doing a tremendous amount. So we hope that we're going to be partnering with Eddie and bring you some special interviews throughout the year as football season is upon us. Camp is less than a month away, if you can believe it. And we hope to have more beautiful days like this, and bringing you our community events. Again, it's been a while since I've been on the air, so it's nice to be back and to be out here at this beautiful facility at Shoreline Stadium, and to bring you live coverage of the Darrell Taylor Youth Football Camp. I think that's going to wrap it up for us here, and we will return to our normal broadcast, our normal programming, I should say. And again, keep a listen out. We will have, in addition to our community events throughout the summer, you saw that list through the month of August. We also look to have some special shows, I should say, featuring some of the athletes, what they're doing out here in the community. So that's going to do it for Daniel Bellis, for Tony B, for all of the team here at Rainier Avenue Radio. We appreciate you tuning in and staying with us for this hour. Hope you have enjoyed hearing from a few of the alumni and hearing about what Darrell Taylor is doing out in the community. And as they're wrapping up and the kids are taking photos and what have you. So that's the cool thing, is the kids are getting an opportunity to hang out with some of their heroes and find out that, they're just a regular person, just like me. And so it's really cool. Again, appreciate you joining us. Until next time, this is Rick DuPree signing off. Peace and God bless.